Welcome to Academic Gain Tutorials. In this video, we will look into the differences between capital adequacy ratio and solvency ratio. The capital adequacy ratio is defined as a measure that helps the company to have sufficient leverage to deal with any potential financial losses. The main purpose of using the capital adequacy ratio is to essentially measure the total financial risk of a company by evaluating the capital available in a bank in relation to the total extended credit. On the other hand, the solvency ratio is defined as a financial measure that helps to estimate whether a company has enough cash in hand to cover its short-term and long-term debt needs. The solvency ratio is mainly an accounting ratio that helps to evaluate the debt within an organization. It can also be applied to any type of company to help them assess their ability to take care of their debt obligations. So, let's look into the basic differences between capital adequacy ratio and solvency ratio in a tabular form. Difference number 1. The capital adequacy ratio measures if a company has sufficient leverage to deal with potential financial losses, whereas the solvency ratio measures whether a firm has enough cash to cover its short- and long-term debts. Number 2. The capital adequacy ratio evaluates the total financial risk of a bank, whereas the solvency ratio evaluates the debt within an organization. Number 3. The main application of the capital adequacy ratio is for banks, whereas the solvency ratio can be applied to any type of company. Number 4. Regulators track the capital adequacy ratio to ensure banks can withstand significant losses, whereas the solvency ratio is generally not tracked by regulators. Number 5. The capital adequacy ratio differentiates between two types of capital, Tier 1 and Tier 2, whereas the solvency ratio does not differentiate between types of capital. Number 6. The calculation of the capital adequacy ratio is based on risk-weighted assets, whereas the calculation of the solvency ratio is based on actual cash flow and debt obligations. Number 7. The capital adequacy ratio indicates the bank's ability to absorb losses, whereas the solvency ratio indicates the company's likelihood of default. Number 8. The capital adequacy ratio is best used within the banking sector, whereas the solvency ratio is best employed in comparison to similar firms within the same industry. Number 9. The capital adequacy ratio ensures a stable and efficient financial system, whereas the solvency ratio provides a comprehensive evaluation of financial stability. And finally, difference number 10. Investors use the capital adequacy ratio to evaluate capital put into banks, whereas they use the solvency ratio to assess the ability to meet debt obligations. So, these are the differences between capital adequacy ratio and solvency ratio. If this lecture was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.